The woman I trusted more than anyone in the world. She married my dad. It destroyed me. I cut them both off. I told them I never wanted to see them again. The call that changed everything. And by the time I realized what I had done, it was too late. If this story is already breaking your heart, hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens next is going to destroy you. Subscribe to her words. My name is Sophie. I am 25. And I want to tell you about the biggest betrayal of my life. And the biggest regret. This is not an easy story to tell. But I need to share it because I know there are people out there who are holding on to anger. People who have cut off family members. People who think they have all the time in the world to forgive. And I want you to know something. You do not. Life does not wait for you to be ready. My name is Sophie. And this is my story. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. My childhood was beautiful. I had 2 parents who loved me. And a best friend. Named Laura. Laura and I met when we were 5 years old. We were inseparable from the very first day. We went to the same schools. We had sleepovers every weekend. We told each other everything. My father Richard was a quiet man. He worked hard. And he loved my mother more than life itself. I grew up watching them together. It started with small things. She was tired all the time. She had no appetite. My father took her to the doctor and they ran tests. Cancer. Stage 4. The doctor said she had maybe 6 months. Those next few months were the hardest months of my entire life. I watched my father fall apart. He stopped going to work. And Laura was there through all of it. She came to the hospital every day. She brought food. She sat with me when I could not stop crying. She was my rock. My mother died on a Tuesday morning in March. I was holding her hand. My father was on the other side of the bed. My father collapsed. He fell to his knees and cried so hard. I thought he was going to die right there with her. He stopped eating. He stopped sleeping. He would just sit in the living room staring at my mother's pictures for hours. I tried to help him, but he would not respond. It was like he was not even there anymore. She would bring food. She would sit with my father. At first, I was grateful. I thought she was just being a good friend. Laura was coming over even when I was not there. She would text my father. She would stay late into the night talking to him. And every time I walked into a room where they were together, they would stop talking. Like they had been discussing something private. One evening I came home from work and found Laura and my father sitting on the couch together. They were sitting close. Too close. My father was smiling. I had not seen him smile since my mother died. And he was smiling at Laura. Something about it felt wrong. Something about the way they were looking at each other made my stomach turn. But I pushed the feeling away. I told myself I was being paranoid. A few weeks later I confronted Laura. We were having coffee together and I asked her, Laura, why are you spending so much time with my dad? Your dad is going through a really hard time. You are my best friend. He is like family to me. I am just trying to be there for him. I looked into Laura's eyes, and I believed her. I believed that she was just trying to help. So I let it go, but I should not have. 6 months after my mother died, my father asked me to sit down with him. We were in the living room. He looked nervous. Over the past few months, Laura has been coming over a lot, and we have been spending a lot of time together. And I have developed feelings for her. I sat there frozen. I could not have heard him correctly. I could not have just heard my father say he had feelings for my best friend. What I whispered. My father looked down at his hands. I know this is hard to hear, he said. But Sophie, I've been so lonely. I have been so lost since your mother died. And Laura understands. She has been there for me. She makes me feel like I can breathe again. I stood up. My whole body was shaking. Are you serious right now? I said. Mom has been dead for 6 months. 6 months, Dad. And you are already moving on with my best friend? Sophie, please, my father said. I am not trying to replace your mother. And Laura, is that something? I looked at my father like I was seeing him for the first time. This man who I thought loved my mother more than anything. And here he was, 6 months after burying her. Telling me he had feelings for a girl half his age? I cannot believe you, I said. Tears were streaming down my face. I cannot believe you would do this. I cannot believe Laura would do this. I stormed out of the house. I got in my car and drove straight to Laura's apartment. I knocked on her door so hard I thought I was going to break it. Laura opened the door, and the moment she saw my face she knew. How could you? I screamed at her. How could you do this to me? You are supposed to be my best friend. You were at my mother's funeral. You cried with me, and now you are with my father? Laura started crying. Sophie, please let me explain, she said. Explain what I yelled. Explain how you decided to go after my father 6 months after my mother died. I love him, Laura said quietly. I know you do not understand. I know this looks terrible, but I love him, Sophie. And he loves me. We did not plan this. It just happened. I looked at Laura, the girl I had trusted my whole life, and I felt something break inside me. Something that could never be fixed. You are dead to me, I said. My voice was cold now. Do not ever contact me again. Do not ever come near me again. You are not my friend. You are nothing to me. I walked away. And I did not look back. 2 months later, my father called me. He told me he and Laura were getting married. He asked me to come to the wedding. He begged me to give them a chance. He said he loved me and he did not want to lose me, but I did not care. I told him if he married her, I would never speak to him again. I told him he was making the biggest mistake of his life. And then I hung up. They got married 3 weeks later. I did not go. I did not call. I blocked both of their numbers. I deleted all of our photos together. I packed up my things and moved to another city. And I told myself I was never going back. I cut them both out of my life completely. And I was never going to forgive them. But what I did not know was that 3 years later I was going to get a phone call. A phone call that would change everything. A phone call that would make me realize I had made the biggest mistake of my life. And by the time I realized it, it would be too late.
3 years passed without me speaking to my father or Laura. 3 long years of silence. 3 years of anger. 3 years of pretending they did not exist. I moved to Boston and started a completely new life. I got a new job at a marketing firm. I made new friends. I met a guy named Jake who became my boyfriend. Jake was kind and patient and he supported me through everything. He knew about my father and Laura. He knew about the betrayal. And he never pushed me to forgive them. But he also never told me I was right for cutting them off completely. My life in Boston was good. I was happy. Or at least I told myself I was happy. But deep down there was always something missing. A hole in my heart that I tried to fill with work and friends and distractions. But it never went away. Because the truth was I missed my father. I missed him so much it hurt. But I was too proud to admit it. Too angry to let go. Too stubborn to pick up the phone. My father tried to reach out many times over those 3 years. He called on my birthday every single year. He sent me emails. He sent me Christmas cards. But I never responded. I deleted the emails without reading them. I threw away the cards without opening them. I blocked his number so I would not be tempted to answer. I told myself I was doing the right thing. I told myself they did not deserve my forgiveness. I told myself I was better off without them. Laura tried to reach out too. She sent me letters. Long handwritten letters apologizing for everything. Explaining how she never meant to hurt me. Telling me she understood why I was angry. Begging me to just talk to her. But I threw those letters away too. I did not want to hear her excuses. I did not want to hear how sorry she was. Sorry was not enough. Sorry could not fix what they had done. My Aunt Helen was the only person who stayed in contact with both sides. Aunt Helen was my father's sister. She was older and wiser and she had always been like a second mother to me. She tried to be the bridge between us. She would call me every few months and tell me how my father was doing. She would tell me he missed me. She would tell me he was miserable without me. She would tell me that cutting him off was destroying him. But I did not want to hear it. Every time Aunt Helen brought it up, I would change the subject. I would tell her I did not want to talk about it. And eventually she stopped trying. Jake was the only person who ever really challenged me on it. One night we were having dinner at our apartment. We had been together for about a year at that point. And out of nowhere Jake looked at me and said, "Sophie, do you ever think about calling your dad?" I looked up from my plate. "Why are you asking me that?" I said. "Because I see the way you look sometimes," Jake said. "When you think no one is watching, you look sad. And I think it is because you miss him." I put down my fork. "Of course I miss him," I said. "He is my father. But that does not change what he did. He married my best friend 6 months after my mother died. He betrayed her memory. He betrayed me." Jake reached across the table and held my hand. "I know," he said. "And I am not saying what he did was right. But Sophie, it has been 3 years. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life not talking to him? What if something happens? What if he gets sick? What if he dies? Are you going to be okay with never having said goodbye?" I pulled my hand away. "That is not going to happen," I said. "My father is healthy. He is fine. And when the time comes I will deal with it. But right now I am not ready. I do not know if I will ever be ready." Jake nodded slowly. "Okay," he said. "I just do not want you to have regrets, Sophie. That is all." I did not say anything. I just sat there staring at my plate. Because deep down I knew Jake was right. Deep down I knew I was being stubborn. But I did not know how to let go of the anger. I did not know how to forgive them. So I just kept pushing it down. Pretending it did not matter. Pretending I was fine. But I was not fine. There were nights when I would lie in bed and think about my father. I would think about all the memories we had before my mother died. The way he used to take me fishing when I was little. The way he would read me bedtime stories. The way he would hug me when I was sad and tell me everything was going to be okay. I missed that man. I missed my dad. But the man who married Laura 6 months after burying my mother? I did not know that man. And I did not want to. I also thought about Laura sometimes. I thought about all the years we spent together. All the sleepovers. All the secrets we shared. All the time she was there for me when I needed her. And I wondered how she could throw all of that away. How she could betray me like that. How she could look me in the eyes and tell me she loved my father. It did not make sense to me. And I did not think it ever would. Aunt Helen called me one afternoon about 2.5 years after I had cut them off. I almost did not answer. But something told me I should. So I picked up. "Sophie, honey," Aunt Helen said. Her voice sounded tired. "How are you?" "I am fine," I said. "What is going on?" "I just wanted to check on you," Aunt Helen said. "I have been thinking about you a lot lately. And I have been thinking about your father too." I sighed. "Aunt Helen, please," I said. "I do not want to talk about this." "I know," Aunt Helen said. "I know you do not. But Sophie, I need you to hear something. Your father is not doing well. He misses you so much. He talks about you all the time. He keeps all your old photos on his desk. He watches videos of you from when you were little. He is heartbroken, Sophie. And so is Laura." "I do not care about Laura," I said. My voice was sharp. Aunt Helen was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I know you are angry. I know you feel betrayed. But Sophie, they are human. They made a mistake. And they have been paying for it every single day for the past 2 years. Do you really want to punish them forever?" "Yes," I said. "Because that is what they deserve." Aunt Helen sighed. "Okay, Sophie," she said. "I am not going to push you anymore. But I want you to think about something. What if something happened to your father tomorrow? What if you never got the chance to talk to him again? Could you live with that?" I did not answer. I just sat there holding the phone. "Think about it," Aunt Helen said. "That is all I am asking." She hung up. And I sat there on my couch staring at the wall. Aunt Helen's words kept repeating in my head. What if something happened to your father tomorrow? What if you never got the chance to talk to him again? I pushed the thoughts away. I told myself it was not going to happen. My father was only 52 years old. He was healthy. He had plenty of time. And when I was ready, I would reach out. But not now. Not yet. But life does not wait for you to be ready. Life does not care about your timeline. Life does not give you warnings. And 6 months later, I learned that the hard way. It was a Thursday night. I was at home with Jake watching a movie. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I almost did not answer. But something made me pick up. "Hello," I said. "Is this Sophie Taylor?" a man's voice said. "Yes," I said. "Who is this?" My name is Dr. Martinez, the man said. I am calling from St. Mary's Hospital. I am calling about your father, Richard Taylor. My heart stopped. What I said. What happened? Dr. Martinez took a breath. Your father was in a very serious car accident tonight, he said. He is in critical condition. We are doing everything we can, but you need to come to the hospital right away. The phone slipped out of my hand. I could not breathe. I could not think. Jake grabbed the phone and started talking to the doctor. I just sat there frozen. This could not be happening. This could not be real. Jake hung up the phone and looked at me. Sophie, we need to go, he said. Right now. I nodded. I stood up. And we ran to the car. The entire drive back to my hometown, I kept thinking the same thing over and over. Please do not let him die. Please, God, do not let him die. Not like this. Not before I get to say goodbye. Not before I get to tell him I love him. Because the truth was, I did love him. I had always loved him. Even when I hated what he did. Even when I was so angry I could not see straight. He was still my father. And I was about to lose him. And I had wasted 3 years being too proud to forgive him. The hospital was 2 hours away from Boston. Jake drove as fast as he could. I sat in the passenger seat staring out the window with tears streaming down my face. My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. I could not stop thinking about the last time I saw my father. The day he told me he was marrying Laura. The day I screamed at him and walked out. The day I told him I never wanted to see him again. And now 3 years had passed. 3 years of silence. 3 years of anger. And I might never get the chance to take it back. Jake reached over and held my hand. He is going to be okay, he said. Your dad is strong. He is going to make it. I wanted to believe him. But I could not. Dr. Martinez said he was in critical condition. Critical. That meant bad. That meant he might not survive. And if he died, I would never forgive myself. Never. We arrived at the hospital just before midnight. I ran through the doors and went straight to the front desk. My father is here, I said. Richard Taylor. He was in a car accident. Where is he? The nurse looked at her computer. He is in the ICU, she said. 4th floor. But only family is allowed right now. I am his daughter, I said. She nodded and pointed to the elevator. Go up to the 4th floor and check in at the nurse's station, she said. I ran to the elevator. Jake ran with me. When the doors opened on the 4th floor, I saw Aunt Helen standing in the hallway. She looked exhausted. Her eyes were red from crying. When she saw me, she ran over and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Oh, Sophie, Aunt Helen said. Thank God you came. Thank God. I pulled back and looked at her. How is he? I asked. Is he okay? Aunt Helen's face went sad. He is alive, she said. But Sophie, it is bad. He has internal bleeding. Broken ribs. A collapsed lung. They are doing everything they can, but the doctors said the next 24 hours are critical. I felt like I was going to be sick. Where is he? I asked. He is in room 412, Aunt Helen said. But Sophie, there is something I need to tell you before you go in there. I looked at her. What? I said. Aunt Helen's eyes filled with tears. Laura was in the car with him, she said. My stomach dropped. What? I whispered. They were driving home from dinner, Aunt Helen said. A truck ran a red light and hit them on the driver's side. Your father was driving. He took most of the impact. But Laura, she stopped and put her hand over her mouth. What? I said. My voice was shaking now. What happened to Laura? Aunt Helen looked at me with the saddest eyes I have ever seen. She did not make it, Sophie, she said. Laura died at the scene. The world stopped. Everything around me went silent. I could not hear anything. I could not feel anything. I just stood there staring at Aunt Helen, trying to process what she had just said. Laura was dead. My best friend. The girl I had known since I was 5 years old. The girl I had cut out of my life 3 years ago. She was gone. And I never got to say goodbye. I never got to tell her I forgave her. I never got to fix what was broken between us. I put my hand over my mouth and started crying. Aunt Helen held me. Jake stood behind me with his hand on my back. And I cried harder than I had cried since the day my mother died. After a few minutes, I pulled away and wiped my face. I need to see my father, I said. Aunt Helen nodded. He has been asking for you, she said. He keeps saying your name. I walked down the hallway to room 412. My legs felt like they were going to give out. I stopped in front of the door and took a deep breath. Then I pushed it open and walked inside. The room was dark except for the light from the machines. My father was lying in the hospital bed. He was covered in bandages. He had a breathing tube in his mouth. Wires and IVs were connected to his arms. He looked so small, so broken. This was not the strong man I remembered. This was someone who was barely holding on. I walked over to the bed slowly. I stood there looking down at him, and then his eyes opened. He looked at me, and tears started rolling down the sides of his face. I grabbed his hand and held it tight. "Dad," I said. My voice was shaking. "I am here. I am right here." He could not talk because of the breathing tube, but he squeezed my hand. He squeezed it so hard like he was afraid I was going to disappear, like he thought I was a dream. "I am so sorry," I said. Tears were pouring down my face now. "I am so sorry, Dad. I should have called you. I should have forgiven you. I wasted 3 years being angry and I am so sorry." My father shook his head slightly. He lifted his other hand and pointed to his chest. Then he pointed to me. I understood what he was trying to say. He was saying he was sorry too. He was saying he loved me. I leaned down and put my head on his chest. I cried into his hospital gown, and I felt his hand on the back of my head. He was stroking my hair just like he used to do when I was a little girl. And in that moment I was not a 25-year-old woman anymore. I was just his daughter, his little girl, and I needed my dad. I stayed there for a long time. Eventually a nurse came in and told me I needed to let him rest. I pulled back and looked at my father. "I will be right outside," I said. "I am not going anywhere. Promise." He nodded, and I walked out of the room. Aunt Helen was still in the hallway. Jake was sitting in one of the chairs. I sat down next to him and he put his arm around me. "Where is Laura?" I asked Aunt Helen quietly. "She is at the morgue," Aunt Helen said. "The funeral home will pick her up tomorrow." I nodded. I felt numb. I felt like I was in a nightmare that I could not wake up from. Laura was dead, and I had spent the last 3 years hating her. I had spent 3 years refusing to talk to her, refusing to forgive her, and now she was gone, and I would never get the chance to tell her I was sorry. Aunt Helen sat down next to me. "She is at peace now, Sophie," she said quietly. "She loved you so much. Even after everything, she never stopped loving you." I looked at Aunt Helen. "How do you know that?" I asked. "Because she told me," Aunt Helen said. "She called me all the time. She would ask about you. She would ask if I had talked to you. She would ask if you were happy. And she would cry. She would cry and say she missed you. She said losing you was the hardest thing she ever went through." I put my hands over my face. I felt so much guilt I thought it was going to crush me. "Why did I do this?" I said. "Why did I waste so much time being angry?" Aunt Helen put her arm around me. "Because you were hurt," she said, "and you did not know how to deal with that hurt. But Sophie, you cannot change the past. All you can do now is be here for your father. He needs you." I nodded. She was right. My father was still here. He was still alive. And I was not going to waste another second being angry. I stayed at the hospital all night. I sat in the chair next to my father's bed. I held his hand. I talked to him. I told him about my life in Boston, about Jake, about my job, about everything I had been doing for the past 3 years. I told him I missed him. I told him I loved him. And I told him I was sorry for walking away. The sun came up the next morning. The doctors came in to check on my father. They said he was stable but still critical. They said the next few days would determine if he was going to make it or not. I was not leaving. I was going to be there every single second, because I had already lost my mother. I had already lost Laura, and I was not going to lose my father too. Not without a fight. My father stayed in the ICU for 5 days. 5 long days of watching him fight for his life. 5 days of sitting next to his bed praying he would wake up. 5 days of wondering if I was going to lose him. The doctors said his body had been through major trauma. They said his age was working against him. They said we just had to wait and see. So I waited. I stayed by his side every single hour. I barely slept. I barely ate. Jake brought me food, but I could not stomach it. All I could do was sit there and hold my father's hand and beg him to keep fighting. On the 3rd day, they removed the breathing tube. My father could finally talk. His voice was weak and rough, but he could speak. The first thing he said when he saw me sitting there was, "I am sorry, Sophie. I am so sorry." I shook my head. "Dad, do not," I said. "You do not need to apologize. I am the one who should be sorry. I wasted 3 years. 3 years I could have spent with you. And I threw it all away because I was too stubborn to forgive you." My father reached for my hand. "You had every right to be angry," he said. "What I did was wrong. Marrying Laura so soon after your mother died. I was selfish. I was lonely. And I did not think about how it would hurt you. I just thought about myself. And I am sorry." I squeezed his hand. "I know you loved her," I said. "I know Laura made you happy. And I should have been able to accept that. But I could not. I felt like you were replacing Mom. I felt like you were betraying her memory. And I felt like Laura betrayed me." "Your mother would have wanted me to be happy," my father said. "She told me that before she died. She told me not to spend the rest of my life alone. She told me to find someone who could take care of me. I did not plan to fall in love with Laura. Just happened. And I know the timing was terrible. I know it looked bad. But Sophie, I loved her. I really loved her." Tears rolled down my face. "I know, Dad," I said. "And I am sorry I did not give you a chance. I am sorry I walked away. I am sorry I was not there for you." My father started crying too. "I missed you so much," he said. "Every single day I missed you. I wanted to call you. I wanted to see you. But I did not want to push you. I thought maybe one day you would reach out. And I was willing to wait as long as it took. But Sophie, losing you was harder than losing your mother. Because I knew you were out there. I knew you were alive. And I knew you hated me. And that hurt more than anything." "I do not hate you," I said. "I never hated you, Dad. I was just hurt. And angry. And I did not know how to forgive you. But I am ready now. Forgive you. I forgive you for everything." My father pulled me close and hugged me as tight as he could with his broken ribs. And we both cried. We cried for all the time we lost. We cried for my mother. We cried for Laura. We cried for everything. Laura's funeral was on the 6th day. My father was still in the hospital, so he could not go. But I went. I had to. I needed to say goodbye. I walked into the church and saw people I had not seen in 3 years. Friends from high school. Laura's family. People from our town. Everyone looked at me when I walked in. Some of them looked surprised to see me. Some of them looked sad. No one said anything. They just watched as I walked to the front and stood in front of Laura's casket. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. Her hands were folded on her chest. She was wearing a simple blue dress. I stood there looking at her and I felt my heart break all over again. This was my best friend. The girl who knew all my secrets. The girl who was there for me through everything. And I had spent the last 3 years of her life hating her. And now she was gone. And I could never take it back. I leaned down close to the casket and whispered, "I am sorry, Laura. I am so sorry. I should have forgiven you. I should have talked to you. I should have been there for you. You deserved better than what I gave you. And I am sorry. I hope wherever you are you know that I loved you. I always loved you. Even when I was angry. Even when I said I hated you. I loved you. And I miss you." I put my hand on the casket and cried. And then I felt someone stand next to me. It was Laura's mother. She put her arm around me and held me while I cried. She did not say anything. She just let me cry. And when I finally stopped, she looked at me with kind eyes and said, "Laura loved you too, Sophie. She talked about you all the time. She was heartbroken when you cut her off. But she never stopped hoping you would forgive her one day." I nodded. "I know," I said. "And I wish I had done it sooner." Laura's mother smiled a sad smile. "So do I," she said. "But do not carry that guilt with you forever, Sophie. Laura would not want that. She would want you to live. She would want you to be happy. So do that for her. Be happy." I hugged Laura's mother. And I promised her I would try. After the funeral, I went back to the hospital. My father was awake. He asked me how it went. I told him it was hard. He nodded. He understood. We sat together in silence for a while. And then my father said something that surprised me. "I have letters," he said. "What?" I asked. "Letters from Laura," my father said. "She wrote you letters. So many letters. For the past 3 years. She wrote to you every few weeks. She never sent them because she knew you would not read them. But she kept writing them anyway. She said it made her feel closer to you. She said it helped her process everything. I sat up straight. Where are the letters? I asked. They are at home, my father said. In a box in our closet. She wanted you to have them. She told me if anything ever happened to her, I should give them to you. I nodded. Okay, I said. I will read them. 2 weeks later, my father was released from the hospital. He was healing slowly, but he was going to be okay. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive. I brought him back to his house. The house he had shared with Laura. The house I had not been inside in 3 years. Walking through that door felt strange. Everything looked different. Laura had redecorated. There were new photos on the walls. New furniture. But it still felt like home. My father went to lie down and I went to the bedroom. I opened the closet and found the box. It was a small wooden box. I opened it and inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to me. I sat on the floor and started reading them, one by one, letter after letter. Laura poured her heart out in those letters. She apologized over and over. She explained how she fell in love with my father. She said it was not something she planned. She said she tried to fight it, but she could not. She said she knew it was wrong. She knew the timing was terrible, but she could not help how she felt. And she was sorry. So sorry. She wrote about how much she missed me, how she thought about me every day, how she wished I would call, how she dreamed about us being friends again. She wrote about her wedding, how she cried the whole day because I was not there. She wrote about holidays and birthdays and all the moments we should have shared together but did not. And in the last letter she wrote something that broke me completely. She said, Sophie, if you ever read this, it probably means I am gone. And I just want you to know that I forgive you. I forgive you for cutting me off. I forgive you for hating me. I forgive you for everything. Because I understand. I hurt you. And you had every right to be angry. But I hope one day you can forgive me too. I hope one day you can understand that I loved your father. And I loved you. And losing you was the hardest thing I ever went through. I miss you, Sophie. I will always miss you. I put the letter down and cried. I cried for hours. And when I was done crying, I went to my father's room. He was awake. I sat on the edge of his bed and looked at him. I forgive her, I said. I forgive Laura. And I forgive you. And I am never walking away from you again. My father smiled through his tears. Thank you, Sophie, he said. Thank you. We rebuilt our relationship after that. It was not easy. There were still hard days. Days where I thought about my mother and felt sad. Days where I missed Laura and felt guilty. But my father and I were together. And that was what mattered. I learned something through all of this. I learned that life is too short to hold on to anger. Life is too short to waste years being stubborn. Life is too short to wait for the perfect time to forgive. Because sometimes the perfect time never comes. Sometimes people die. And you are left with nothing but regret. My name is Sophie. I lost my mother to cancer. I lost my best friend in a car accident. And I almost lost my father because I was too proud to forgive him. But I did not lose him. He is still here. And I am grateful every single day. If you are holding on to anger right now, if you have cut someone off, if you are waiting for them to apologize first, please do not wait. Life does not wait. Pick up the phone. Send the message. Say the words. Before it is too late. Because I promise you, you do not want to live with the regret. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Her Words right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another real story like this. Drop a comment below and tell me if you have ever had to forgive someone who hurt you. Tell me your story. Because you are not alone. None of us are alone. Thank you for listening to my story. I will see you in the next video.